excited for that. Undisputed coming up next. Jenna, back to you.
Jenny, that was a very weak toss on my end. I apologize. We were doing a couple different things here, but
watch the dressing room out there in L.A.
CC wants you to tell Snoop what Snoop.
Oh my God, Jenna, you gotta stop. Thanks, Jenny. Time to go viral. Check out Indiana high school football. This 350-pound Bubba Johnson, one of his teammates called him one of the most athletic people he's seen in his life. His coach says he can throw a football 55 yards flat-footed. CC, he runs a 5.2 40. How impressive is this?
Oh, very impressive. Bubba, go ahead with your bad self. I'm glad that they're letting him handle the football.
Look at my man.
Oh, look at Big 74. Get out the way, son. And I love the fact he's avoiding them. He's not trying to run the kids over. No. Like, I'm going to give you a chance.
Right.
Dancing bear. That's what he looked like to me. Light on his feet.
Man, I love that. Big men getting the ball, letting him run. Now, I wouldn't let my son play. I see my son plays defense on the opposing team. No. Come off the field, young man. Football, this is the day your football career ended. What, see?
Yeah, I can understand. That to you, I understand why.
350-pounder running at you? 5'2", 40? No, thanks.
Back to the
Coach
NFL.
Mangini's not sold on him either. Need to see more.
On the heels of Monday night's incredible game between the Rams and Chiefs, a lot of teams wondering if they could compete with the talent they saw that night. One of the teams you might not put in that category, the Cowboys. Less, of course, you own the Cowboys. Jerry Jones knows tomorrow's Thanksgiving game against Washington is for a share of first place in the NFC East. After that, anything is possible. Here's Jerry with more.
Let's hear from Jerry.
I don't ever see us in an air out like that. I see us controlling the ball when we're playing at our best. I think that if we got in shootouts, and if you recall back in Romo's days, we were in shootouts. And we could shoot out with the best of them. Elway out here, we got the short end of the stick, but we had one of the greatest games ever with the shootout here, Romo's next to last year. Having said all of that, I think that we can compete because it wouldn't be the same type of game, I believe. Because if you just assume that you got to score 54 points to win a ball game, then nothing we've seen says we can play at that kind of level.
Nick, what do you think? Does Jerry Jones have a point that this Cowboys team, as it looks right now, can compete with the likes of the Rams and the Chiefs?
No. He's right. If they score 54, you got no shot. What if they score half that? What if they score 27? You going to score 28? We trust Dallas to be able to manufacture 4 touchdowns? Because I don't. I understand that Dallas has a very clear path to beating teams. Excellent defense, pressure on the opposing quarterback from your front seven, have it be close, or you have a lead to where you can feed Zeke the football. But that is what has kept Dallas afloat, not let Dallas compete with 2 of the 3 best teams in the entire league. Like, if the Cowboys weren't in the NFC East, their playoff chances would be essentially already over, and they are right now benefiting from what's happened to Colt McCoy, what's happening to Philadelphia. That because they're in a weak division doesn't all of a sudden give them magical powers that if they play one of the best teams in football, they're going to be able to hang with them. In decades past, see, a team built like the Cowboys could beat anybody. Great running game, excellent defense. I don't believe that applies in 2018, and I don't believe it applies with a quarterback this limited.
Well, typically teams that have that great running game and a good defense, they have to be historic defenses.
Right.
Those are the teams that have won championships, and I do believe that if a defense has historic components to it, they can still win a championship because even though they've made it as easy as possible to be able to throw the football, catch the football. The late, great Woody Hayes, and with the game this week, I think I'll bring a quote from him. When you throw the ball in the air, 2 or 3 things, bad things can happen. So even though we're more prolific at it than ever, like, it's still, you can cause a lot of turnovers. So Dallas, if I have that defense in the Rams game or in the versus Kansas City, if I can get Dallas defense to generate me some offense and score points, a lot like the Rams did, then yes, they can.
That's
so I do believe that Dallas team is built the right way. They got great linebackers who can play 3 downs. They can guard tight ends and they can guard running backs in space. They got a great front seven, a rotation of 5 to 7 guys that they can run to put pressure on the quarterback. They don't have to blitz to be able to put pressure on the quarterback, and they get adequate to good coverage. with their secondary. So Jerry is right. You can control the clock. You can get first downs, keep that team off the field. That's not something in Monday night's game I think was a true depiction of moving forward in the NFL. You're still going to have to play some good defense to be able to win.
And where Dallas is unlucky this year is, let's say the historic offenses in their conference were the Packers and the Eagles. And then we'd say, oh, okay. In a bad weather situation, as you've been pointing out, in the playoffs, if all of a sudden conditions become an element, then could their style be the winning style? If the Cowboys were in the AFC and snuck into the playoffs, where they have to go, as you've been pointing out, to New England, to Pittsburgh, to Kansas City, all places where the elements can play a factor, then all of a sudden, great running game, good defense. We've seen teams win that way. But when we're talking about in their conference, there's no weather elements in Dallas. There's Los Angeles, sunny 340 days a year, and the Saints play in a dome. So that's not their fault. That's circumstantial. But that also plays against them, because I know you believe that come playoff time, what we're seeing right now is not necessarily what we're going to see, but that's because the elements come into effect. That's not the case for Dallas, the Saints, the Rams.
Yeah, I do believe that. I mean, I think the NFL believes that. We have seen as the weather gets colder, it's harder to function offensively. It's harder to run the type of schemes that they're going to run. So, yeah, we expect there to be a correction. But in the NFC, when you have two of the potential top seeds being New Orleans and Los Angeles, now global warming is real, but it hadn't hit those places to affect that it's going to affect it in January. So, yeah, but just imagine this. What about Chicago? What if they sneak into that second spot? Say the first seed gets upset. Then you got to go to Chicago, okay?
Then it's a different story.
Absolutely, it's a different story. So defense is always going to play a part. Look at the last couple Super Bowls. We did score in the 30s, both teams, but critical. Either turnovers, sacks, getting off the field on third down. Those will always, I don't care how easy they make this game, those will always be key components to playing in the NFL.
But for Dallas to win and compete with these guys, they have to do everything perfectly. Whereas you get teams like the Chiefs, the Rams, the Saints,
and make a lot of mistakes and make up for it.
So many different ways. So
them teams got some bad defenses. You can run the ball against them.
Sure.
All right, to the NBA now. LeBron James is making his return to Cleveland when the Lakers face the Cavs tonight. And as expected, there is drama to be had, but this time it has nothing to do with LeBron. J.R. Smith recently saying the Cavs are tanking, with him and the team keeping their distance as a potential trade looms. Nick, does the Cavs' disastrous 2-13 season this year prove that maybe they took LeBron James for granted a little bit last year?
I do not believe his teammates did. I do not believe the fans did. I do not believe the coaches did. But I do believe that the only person in the organization that actually mattered last year, other than LeBron, definitely took him for granted, and that's Dan Gilbert. Sometimes enormous success in business, enormous wealth can make you a little delusional. And what we know in Cleveland is the year before LeBron got there, and that's before Gilbert took over, they won 17 games. LeBron then made them a 60-win team, consistently took them to an NBA Finals. He left, and they won 19 games. Dan Gilbert then last year reportedly said he's excited to get my team back, ready to get out from under the yoke of LeBron James, build around Colin Sexton and Kevin Love. They've won 2 games, on pace to another 17, 18, 19-win season. So I don't think the fans took him for granted. I think they will give him a standing ovation tonight. But I think Dan Gilbert did, and I think Dan Gilbert is realizing what life is like in the NBA without LeBron James is what it's always been like for the Cavs without LeBron James, which is awful.
LeBron also leaving, I think, because I always go to comparison with Michael Jordan when he left Chicago. The effect, I think that team won how many games?
After the first time, they went from 57 wins to 55 wins.
Yes.
Now, the second time they fell apart, but they lost everybody, Scotty, Michael, and Phil.
Right, and I believe that that speaks to a person's greatness. When they leave an organization, what are they able to maintain? What LeBron has done is phenomenal, and I believe the people in the state of Ohio, the people in Northeast Ohio will appreciate him totally different than at any other point, because now it's over with. You know, he gave you your championship, and he's gone. And it's just time to respect the tremendous amount of work that he has done. But because I don't believe that he's the greatest player ever. I have another person, a special guest. Come here for a second. Come here. Come here for a second. Come here. Come here.
No.
And
what are we doing?
And I don't believe it. Come here. Come here. But she'll tell you who's the greatest basketball player ever, sweetie.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
You teach him young in the right household. Give it here, baby. That's that. When C says baby girl, he's talking about this one who's out of school today. Listen, I can't believe you're doing this. That's very well done, sir.
Of course.
How does it feel to have a 5-year-old already smarter than you? Because she knows who the greatest basketball player is. You're still bringing this Jordan stuff up.
Why do I have to deal with him? He thinks he's smarter than us. But tell him who's the smartest people that he knows.
Me and Chris.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
That's my daughter, by the way,
Great to have you,
America.
Dana. All right, we got to go. We're back here tomorrow morning on Thanksgiving. Please join us.